Beware friends, use enemies. Not every friend helps. Not every enemy harms. Some of the deepest disappointments in life don't come from strangers. They come from the people we trust the most. A promotion creates tension with an old friend. A favor goes unappreciated. Success that should bring celebration somehow sparks resentment instead. What hurts isn't the setback itself. It's realizing that closeness never guaranteed loyalty. For a long time, I assumed friendship and trust were the same thing. If someone had shared my journey, supported me, and stood beside me through difficult moments, I believed they would always want what was best for me. But history, human nature, and personal experience kept teaching me a different lesson. The people closest to us can sometimes become our greatest blind spot. While those who once opposed us may prove surprisingly reliable. Understanding this doesn't make us cynical, it makes us wiser. And if you keep reading, I'll show you exactly why this happens, and how to navigate it without losing faith in people. The warmth that blinds us. Lord, protect me from my friends. I can take care of my enemies. Voltaire. We like to believe that friendship is safety. In a difficult world, friends feel like shelter from loneliness, stress, and uncertainty. We assume the people closest to us will protect our interests, celebrate our success, and stand beside us when things become hard. But human nature is more complicated than that. The closer someone is to us, the more they compare themselves to us. Familiarity creates expectations. Expectations create disappointment. And disappointment, quietly, can turn into envy, resentment, or betrayal. This is not a reason to become cold or cynical. It is a reason to become clear-eyed. In the world of work, ambition, and power, friendship and trust are not the same thing. One is emotional warmth. The other is a careful judgment of character. Michael and the friend he created. In the 9th century, the Byzantine Emperor Michael III placed his deepest trust in a man named Basilius. Basilius had once saved his life and rose from stable boy to royal advisor through Michael's generosity. The emperor gave him wealth, education, power, and status. At first, this looked like loyalty rewarded. But the more Basilius received, the more he wanted. Gratitude slowly turned into entitlement. He manipulated Michael into murdering rivals, expanded his own influence, and eventually became more powerful than the emperor himself. In the end, Basilius had Michael assassinated and seized the throne. Michael's mistake was not kindness. It was confusing gratitude with loyalty. He believed that because Basilius owed him everything, he would remain devoted forever. Instead, Basilius came to see his rise as something he deserved. The debt disappeared in his own mind. Why friends become dangerous. To have a good enemy, choose a friend. He knows where to strike. Diane de Poitiers. Friends know our weaknesses. They know our habits, fears, ambitions, and blind spots. That closeness can create deep support, but it also creates the potential for deep injury. There is another problem. Friends often avoid honesty. They soften criticism to preserve harmony. They laugh at our jokes, agree with our opinions, and hide uncomfortable truths. Over time, this can create a distorted mirror in which we no longer see ourselves clearly. An enemy, by contrast, has less reason to flatter us. Opposition can reveal our weaknesses more honestly than affection does. Criticism from someone who dislikes us is not automatically true, but it is often more direct. The burden of gratitude. Men are more ready to repay an injury than a benefit. Because gratitude is a burden and revenge a pleasure. Tacitus. One of the strangest truths about human psychology is that favors do not always create loyalty. Sometimes they create discomfort. When someone receives repeated help, gifts, or opportunities, they may begin to feel dependent or inferior. That feeling can quietly turn into resentment. People want to believe they earned their success. If a friend becomes too important to our rise, we may unconsciously minimize their contribution in order to protect our own pride. This is why some people forget favors so easily. Memory bends to preserve self-image. The more unequal the relationship becomes, the more unstable it can become. Generosity without boundaries can create imbalance instead of loyalty. Emperor Sung and the enemies he won over. Centuries later, another ruler faced a similar problem from the opposite angle. Emperor Sung of China inherited a throne surrounded by powerful generals who could easily overthrow him. Instead of trusting them as friends, he understood the danger clearly. He invited the generals to a banquet, spoke honestly about the constant fear of coups, and then offered them a surprising deal. Retire from military power in exchange for wealth, estates, and security. They accepted. Sung also treated former enemies with generosity. Defeated kings who expected punishment were instead honored and pardoned. Because they expected nothing and received mercy, many became fiercely loyal to him. Sung survived where others failed because he relied less on emotional trust and more on understanding human incentives. Why former enemies can be more loyal. A former enemy often has something to prove. They know trust is not guaranteed, so they may work harder to demonstrate reliability. The relationship is based less on sentiment and more on mutual interest and clear expectations. This does not mean enemies are magically virtuous. It means the dynamics are different. A friend may feel entitled to favors and forgiveness. A former rival may value the opportunity they have been given and protect it carefully. History is full of examples where political leaders, generals, and negotiators found more dependable alliances with former opponents than with longtime companions. Friendship is for life, not for power. The deeper lesson is not never have friends. It is do not confuse friendship with suitability. A friend may be wonderful company, a source of joy, and a loyal companion in private life. That does not automatically make them the best business partner, advisor, employee, or collaborator. Skill, judgment, discipline, and emotional stability matter more than personal affection when important decisions are at stake. Many failures happen because people hire or promote friends out of comfort rather than competence. The desire to keep relationships close can cloud judgment. The gift hidden in opposition. Enemies can sharpen us. Competition forces attention. Criticism forces reflection. Resistance exposes weaknesses we would rather ignore. One of the most overlooked truths about human growth is that comfort rarely changes us. When everyone around us agrees with our ideas, praises our efforts, and supports our decisions, we naturally relax. We stop questioning ourselves. We stop noticing small mistakes. We begin to assume we are already seeing things clearly. Opposition interrupts that illusion. A rival challenges us to improve. A critic forces us to examine our assumptions. Even an enemy can reveal weaknesses that loyal friends never mention. Friends often protect our feelings. Opponents are far less concerned with our comfort. In trying to challenge us, they sometimes expose truths we need to hear. This does not mean every criticism is correct. Many attacks are unfair, emotional, or self-serving. But hidden inside resistance is often a valuable signal. The wise person learns to separate the emotion from the lesson. Instead of asking, "Why are they against me?" a better question is, "What can this teach me?" In that sense, opposition becomes an unexpected teacher. It keeps us alert, humble, and adaptable. While friends offer support, enemies often provide something equally valuable: the pressure that helps us grow stronger than we were before. Lincoln's strange strategy. Do I not destroy my enemies when I make them my friends? Abraham Lincoln. During the American Civil War, Abraham Lincoln spoke about Southerners not as monsters, but as fellow human beings in error. When criticized for being too soft, he replied with that famous line. Lincoln understood a profound truth: turning an enemy into a cooperative ally is often more powerful than crushing them. Destruction can create martyrs and endless retaliation. Conversion can create stability. This does not mean abandoning principles. It means recognizing that reconciliation can sometimes produce stronger outcomes than permanent hostility. The difference between trust and access. One practical mistake people make is giving full trust simply because someone has emotional access to them. A person may know your life, your struggles, and your dreams. But that does not mean they should have influence over your finances, career, reputation, or major decisions. Trust should be layered. Some people earn emotional closeness. Fewer earn strategic responsibility. The ability to keep these layers separate is a form of wisdom. How to work with friends safely. Sometimes working with friends is unavoidable or even beneficial. The key is structure. Keep roles clear. Define responsibilities, boundaries, and expectations explicitly. Do not rely on assumptions. Friendship does not replace communication. Watch for imbalance. Repeated favors, unequal effort, or hidden resentment can quietly damage the relationship. Separate personal and professional issues. Disagreements about work should not automatically become judgments about the friendship itself. Choose competence first. If a friend is not the best person for the role, protect the friendship by not forcing the partnership. How to use enemies wisely. Using enemies does not mean becoming manipulative or cruel. It means learning from opposition and sometimes transforming it into cooperation. Listen to criticism carefully. An enemy may reveal weaknesses your friends ignore. Turn rivals into collaborators when interests align. Shared goals can create surprisingly stable alliances. Do not underestimate motivated opponents. People with something to prove often work with extraordinary intensity. Maintain boundaries. A former enemy can become a useful ally, but trust should still be earned gradually. The emotional trap of familiarity. We naturally relax around familiar people. That relaxation feels good, but it can reduce discernment. We stop evaluating behavior carefully because the relationship itself feels reassuring. This is why betrayal by a friend hurts so deeply. It is not only the loss of trust. It is the collapse of the illusion that closeness guaranteed safety. Wisdom does not require suspicion toward everyone. It requires remembering that human beings remain human even when they are close to us. A better way to see relationships. Think of relationships as different kinds of connections rather than a single category called trust. Some people are companions. Some are advisors. Some are collaborators. Some are competitors. Some are temporary allies. Some are worthy of deep trust, but that trust is earned slowly through consistency, integrity, and tested behavior. This perspective reduces both naivete and cynicism. You do not need to treat everyone as a threat. You simply stop assuming that affection automatically equals reliability. The quiet strength of clear vision. The goal is not paranoia. The goal is clarity. Keep friends for friendship. Enjoy warmth, loyalty, laughter, and companionship. But when important decisions involve power, money, reputation, or survival, choose people based on competence, character, and proven reliability, not merely emotional closeness. And do not fear enemies too much. Sometimes they reveal the truth more clearly than friends do. Sometimes they sharpen your abilities. Sometimes they can even become your strongest allies. Human nature is mixed. Affection can coexist with envy. Gratitude can fade into entitlement. Opposition can transform into respect. The wisest people do not ignore these realities. They learn to navigate them with calm attention and steady judgment. This is the Sapiens Way, where humanity reflects on the worlds it creates and the beings it is becoming. The conversation doesn't end here. Visit the quiz tab and share your score in the comments. Thanks for your time, it's been a delight. What should we explore next? Comment, share, and save your insight. Subscribe to Orbital Sapiens and keep your thoughts bright.